Good morning, Green Spring. My name is Franklin. So happy to be here with you today. Today is Friday, May 15th. A beautiful Friday. We're going to have a high of 84, a low of 64. So enjoy the breeze, enjoy the air, enjoy your walk outside. Excited to be here with you today. As a matter of fact, I actually have a special guest with us today. I have Mr. David Taylor, our Director of Sales, out in the field. David, what's going on? Talk to our folks. Where are you?
Frank, how are you? Thanks for having me on today. I'm at home. Like many of our residents, when we're not at Green Spring serving you folks, we're at home. So I thought, when Frank and I were talking, what would be a better way to give a sales update than from the comfort of our own home, right?
Absolutely. We're so happy to have you with us. Tell us, is this something that you're just doing, or is it, are other team members doing this? How's this work?
Well, so a lot of our team members, we're actually on different shift schedules. So for instance, you and I, we have not seen each other in person since kind of this whole thing started. We adjust our shift to make sure that we always have staff available, but I'm at home. So this is real live TV, folks. My kids are running in and out of the room, so if I have to pause, it's because I'm also working with my kids. But a lot of our leadership rotate in and out, and so it always keeps us fresh, giving us the ability to serve you folks as best as we can. But I do miss you, Frank. It's good to see your face, man.
Likewise. One of the things that I love is the fact that we get to do this almost every morning. So we try to get our entire team, those who are here at Green Spring and those who are at home, because surprisingly, we actually haven't seen many of our team members in quite some time. Many of those are actually working in concierge, Village Square, Hunter's Crossing. You see them delivering your packages. We have some folks at the gatehouse checking temperatures. So for many of us, we haven't seen each other in such a long time. So it's one thing to call folks on the phone, but it's another thing to be able to actually see them, if not physically, at least virtually. So David, wanted to take a moment to ask, what's sales been up to?
So such a great question, and obviously you kind of touched a little bit on it. Sales has changed a little bit, and I think you spoke about this on the last time you were on, but our focus has shifted from kind of the external customer to the internal customer, which is all the residents. So as you were indicating, working the concierge, working the gatehouse, making sure that we're delivering packages, mail. So we're there on the front lines, making sure that all the residents get all the services and supplies that they need. But we still are able to meet with customers. We're just doing it a little differently. So some residents have asked, gosh, we've noticed that people are moving in. Are you all still taking move-ins? Well, prior to all of the restrictions coming into place, we did have folks already in kind of the sales pipeline. And so making sure that they had a place to come and move into, we still actively allowed those folks to move into our community. And we've had about 18 residents since March 1st move in. And this is kind of their normal that they've been used to at Green Spring. So it's been a little bit of mix from helping out in the community and still helping and servicing those folks that we were working with prior to the restrictions coming in place.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about all this is we've had to adjust to a new normal, right? And so, what I love is it's giving us a chance to really reconnect with the folks that we worked with in the past, to show them why, they chose Green Spring in the first place, for those who have moved in most recently to those who have been with us for 20 plus years, which is great. I guess my question for you is, how are we still working with the folks who want to move to Green Spring, especially now through the most recent experience? How are we having those communications? How are we doing that?
Well, look at what we're doing right now. I think one of the things that this situation has taught us is how much we can utilize and lean on technology to still meet with folks where they are. So our sales counselors, Dawn and Sheila, they've been really utilizing video conferencing. either through Zoom or through a FaceTime application, we're able to still connect with customers, answer their questions, check in on them, see how they're doing, and see if there's anything that we can provide them, whether it's a crossword puzzle, a blanket, or just some basic information about how we're keeping our residents safe. We're able to leverage technology so that we can not only keep the residents safe from limiting the amount of visitors that come onto our campus, but also keep our staff safe in the sense that they're able to connect with people video conference like you and I are doing right now. And so leveraging technology has been a huge thing that sales has been doing to continue to communicate with those who are interested in Greenspring. I'll tell you, though, a lot of residents have asked me, well, are you still selling? Are people still reserving apartments? I will tell you, and we've talked about this, Frank, with our team, selling is really secondary to us right now. Right now, it's about checking in on our priority list members, checking in on those folks who have expressed interest, and seeing how they're doing through this situation. We do have a handful of folks who want to hold an apartment. Once restrictions are lifted, they might want to come in and then confirm that apartment. But the only folks that we're actively bringing into the community are those, as I said prior, that have already reserved and settled on a home prior to these restrictions happening. So technology has been huge for us. We've been able to stay connected, but we've also been able to keep everyone safe at the same time.
So David, with the folks that we've been working with already, what does the move-in process look like? I know a few of our residents have asked me, what's the procedure? What are the expectations? Yeah. Would love for our viewers to know what that is.
Such a great question, because once again, everyone's safety, whether they're coming in as new residents or the residents who already live here, is our top priority. So one of the things we've done is we've set in move-in protocols, one of which is 2 weeks prior for them coming in, they receive a letter from us letting them know about all of the different changes on our campus, from dining to deliveries to mail, so that they have a good understanding of the things that are going to happen once they become a resident from a services standpoint. A week prior, our medical center team is actually giving all of our new residents a call and asking them a series of screening questions. And those screening questions will determine whether or not when they get here, they'll go on some sort of quarantine, just once again, out of the utmost of precaution to protect them as well as our residents who live here. So depending upon how they answer those series of questions will determine whether or not they go on quarantine. Residents are also allowed to bring in 2 family members to help them with their move. Their family members that help them, as well as the movers that are going to move them into the community, are only allowed to access their apartment home and have to abide by all the temp check screening questions coming into the gatehouse. And we want to make sure that our new residents are aware of that, because the last thing we want is the day of their move for anyone to be turned around or anyone to say, we didn't know that was going to happen. I think one of the biggest things that this protocol has allowed us to do is to get our residents involved. And so many residents may not know this, but our sales and information committee, as well as the Greenspring greeters, are getting updates on all of those new residents so they can put them into a calling circle so that residents can also reach out to these new residents, welcome them into Greenspring, even though it's not in person, it's over the phone, so that they know that they have a friend out there, they have someone who's also a resident that can come out and help them get adjusted. And so it's such a great partnership between staff and residents, making sure that our new residents come in as smooth as we possibly can get them in.
So talking about the move-in process, tell us, how many moves have there been since all this started?
So since March 1st, we've had 18, our last being on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. We do have a couple more coming up, but we then should be kind of slowing down. But we've had a good number. I'm hopeful that all of our new residents, if you're watching, I'm hoping that it's been as smooth as possible. I will also give a mission moment to you, Franklin. I think one of the things that we had a challenge with is how to set up cable, and we had to think creatively. And so having the ability for you to kind of be our point person with Cox Communications, and making sure that you can kind of navigate how to get all of the cable set up has been huge for our incoming residents as well. So we've had to adapt. We've all learned different skills that we're able to do to help our residents live better lives here. And so we're doing the best that we can.
Yeah, I think the point of all this is, yes, it's a unprecedented time, but I think one of the things that I love about the experience is it allows us to get back to the fundamentals and the things that we do cherish every single day. That interaction. We are all social butterflies. We love to connect with both our team members and with our residents. And so now that we're starting to see the movement slowing down, and you touched on this earlier with the fact that sales has been secondary, at some point, we're going to have to start back up again. What does that game plan look like for us in the next few weeks, months? I don't know. What does that look like for us?
So it's such a great question. And I think when folks ask what's the benefit of living at an Erickson living community, I always say it's not just Greenspring and the culture. It's the management company that we have supporting us. And that team is coming up with a great plan of kind of reestablishing Greenspring, how we're going to kind of open back up slowly. And so there's a whole marketing strategy behind how we are going to start reopening our doors. And it's not going to be at once. We're going to rely a lot more on video conferencing. We're going to rely a lot on meeting folks where they are. The priority, once again, is, our residents that currently live there. And so when we start loosening up those restrictions, it's going to be the residents as the priority. Sales, once again, still a secondary. But it's going to start with the messaging, Frank. It's going to start with, what we've been doing, accounts from our residents, and letting folks know what life was like here at Greenspring when this was all happening. So it's going to happen slowly and in phases. But I think the messaging is going to be the first thing that's going to be important. And you probably have started seeing some of that through our commercials and things like that. Once again, even with our messaging when we call folks, it's not about selling. Mm-hmm. It's about establishing the fact that, hey, we're thinking of you, we're in this together, because that's honestly how we're all feeling right now. So that's really kind of the plan as we start looking at getting back to somewhat of a normal situation from a sales side.
Well, David, I'm excited. Like I said, it's been great to learn new things, to meet new people. One of the things that I've loved the most in Concierge is the fact that I'm meeting new folks from different departments, learning about who they are, both personally and professionally. So that's been wonderful. I look forward to reconnecting from the sales and information side and welcoming new residents to the community, both in a prudent way, right, and making sure that we're doing it the right way. So one of the things that I wanted you to help me with is up next we're going to have Sue Frankie, our resident services manager, discuss social work. But up first, we have a roll-in of the Greenspring Parade, and I want to see if you could tell us a little bit about that before that comes in, on what that was like. I know you were part of the planning committee, so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I always talk about how we have great days at Greenspring, and I remember talking to the team at our stand-up the day after, and this was just such an amazing day of teamwork across the board, staff, residents, all coming out to celebrate our nurses and our healthcare providers. And the planning was really a team effort, from reaching out to residents to get their posters, to having departments donate carts, to staff members helping to decorate, to you with the logistics of where everyone was going and the routes we were going to take, to dining, putting together the huge rig that I had the amazing pleasure of DJing on. I don't know if a lot of folks know this, but prior to coming to Greenspring, I was a wedding DJ, so it kind of took me back to my roots a little bit. So it was just a all-around team effort to really just celebrate our healthcare providers. And I love seeing all the residents come out and bang their pots and pans and ring their bells. I don't know, Frank. I think it might be something that we have to do more
on a regular basis, my friend.
On a regular basis.
That's it. So thank you, David, so much for taking the time to be with us today.